Oh hey, didn't see you there. Well, this is awkward. Long time no see. It's been 5 months of no videos. I haven't been able to sit down and make a YouTube video in a really long time. My laptop died. Now I'm gonna get back into it, I swear. I really want to. I've been literally been wanting to make videos a good portion of my life. Like I've wanted to commit to this for a really long time. So we stopped for a bit. I was sad about it. Now hopefully we're back. Seeing as it's been 5 months since we last chatted, and seeing as this is a book account, what is the best way to catch ourselves up with each other with what's happened in this time? And I thought perhaps I might just do best and worst books that I've read during that time. We have 3 of each. My best books, I don't have many opinions on them because they're just really good. My worst books, I have written pages of opinions on these books because they're rubbish. We'll go best, worst, best, worst, best. First best. It's not really a book that I would usually read, but it's an autobiography called Glass Castle, and it's about this girl who basically grows up with neglectful parents, and I just think it's a really beautiful, well-written book about abuse and all the forms that abuse can be. Like at the beginning, you're like, oh, this is a fun adventure. They're driving in a car and they're traveling America, and you're like, oh, this sounds so exciting, so fun. And then as the book progresses, it slowly but surely, slowly but surely sours until you realize you've started to hate it. And I think that's literally how it would have been for her, is it's this childlike wonder of, wow, I'm having this amazing time with my parents, like I'm looking up to them, this is so exciting. And then as she's getting older, realizing that actually the life they're living, never having any food, living in a decrepit hoarder house, that's abuse and that's neglect. She finally leaves, her and her sister, and I believe at the end her brother, all moved to New York. And yeah, it's just a really, really beautiful, well-written, interesting piece. Her parents still loved her and she still loved her parents in the end, but she realized she had to cut contact with them for her own sanity and for her own sake. And I think that's a very interesting way to think about parents. But that was one of my best. One of the worst. Powerless. My god, that was a painful book to get through. I listened to it on audiobook, and let's just say I listened to it on 2 times speed. Literally none of it is plausible. The whole concept is weird. The world feels flat. The characters are just not particularly likable. The relationship between Peyton and whatever the fuck the one prince and the other prince are called, none of it seems reasonable or interesting or fun. So I just had no reason to engage. I have some thoughts. Some of the scenes were so weird, like just set up weirdly. They're about to be interviewed before the games happen or in the middle of the games or whatever. And they're underneath the stage where they're about to be interviewed. And instead of like, I don't know, some steps upwards or even a ladder, there's like a hole in the roof and they have to jump up and grab it and pull themselves up. That is the weirdest concept ever. Like, what do you mean there's just a hole in the roof and they have to pull themselves up? I feel like that entire scene was because the author, I can't think of her name, literally just wanted Rave to be able to, like, because the prince was there like offering to help her, and I believe she's like, nah, I'm a badass rebel, and just literally tears her dress, which by the way is the ugliest dress. If you look at the description, I'll put it here, of the dress. It's like a blue mermaid dress or something that you would wear to prom, and I'm like, isn't your best friend a seamstress? So she can rip her dress and be like, I'm not like other girls. And then in the end, I think the prince helps her up anyway, and I'm just like, the whole scene is just so weird. Like, multiple, why the fuck would you have to pull yourself up? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And that happens a lot throughout different scenes. Just things just don't really seem to be thought through or like make sense in that just wouldn't happen in real life. And Peyton, who's the main character, Peyton Gray, she's like not like other girls, you know? She's like so small and petite, but also a badass assassin who's been trained her entire life, but she's also powerless. And she goes into these games with people who have powers. Magical powers, who can wield fire and telekinesis and can change into animals. And she is powerless, and they expect me to believe that she can actually hold her own. She's been fighting her entire life. Like, her dad taught her how to fight. He died years ago. These people are trained by professionals and are professionals and have magic. There's no way that she can be so clever and quick and just so small and can just run away that she is not going to get absolutely fucking annihilated in these games, who are well known for killing people. And there's just so many different weird little phrases, and it's weird. I had a lot of thoughts on Powerless. I really, like, I don't know, I just had no attachment to any of the characters or like the story or the plotline, and because the plotline seemed so unreasonable and so not realistic, I just was like, I don't care. I don't care. So that was one of the worst books I read in that 5 months. There you go. Back onto best books. Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. She's the one who wrote the Mortal Instrument books, which Mortal Instruments books I never really got into. I liked the first one, could literally not get into the second one. She did, however, write the Clockwork series. I don't know what it's called. Something. I'll put it here. Those books, I read them so young, they fucking destroyed me. When I say 3 o'clock in the morning, sobbing my eyes out. I have never cried so much for books in my entire life. I read them years ago and I feel like I was way too young to be going through those emotions. I think I would enjoy them again if I read them again, but I don't think I can do that to myself. Swordcatcher, however, that's a good book. The world building seems amazing. The characters are fun and cute, genuinely enjoyable to read about. And the plot is fun. Like, whilst not a huge amount happens, enough happens that it seems interesting and it keeps me going. And now I'm very excited to see where the next book takes us. Just a very fun world. I just had a really fun time reading it. Like, I genuinely enjoyed myself whilst reading it. And if you know Cassandra Clare, you know she has a love of brother-sister relations. In all of the books that I've read from her, there has been either people who don't know that they're brother and sister having a relationship, or people who think they were brother and sister and then they thought they were brother and sister and then they didn't think they were brother and sister. That happens in both of her book series, with the Clockwork Angel series and then with the Mortal Instruments. There's something going on there. There was none of that in this, but I wouldn't be surprised if later on down the line there was. Back onto the second worst book, When the Moon Hatched. I have to tell you, this was a letdown. I listened to it on audiobook. The first half of it, stunning. Amazing. I was so fucking excited to read the rest of it. Here's the drama though. I got halfway through, thought there was going to be a pregnancy storyline. That is not for me. Literally a deal breaker. Cannot read about pregnancy storylines. Looked it up, said yes, there's a pregnancy. I went, god damn it. Deleted the audiobook from my app. Then looked it up a bit more, went, no, there's not like, pregnancy happens beforehand, but there's no actual pregnancy in the story. I went, fuck, damn, I was really enjoying that story. Okay, fine, I'll redo it. It was on loan to someone else, so then I had to wait a couple weeks. So I started listening to it 2 weeks after, so it's taken a really long time for me to get to where I am in this book. And literally, where I stopped was where it stopped being good, and from then on, it was absolute dog shit. Brave, I think is her name. She goes from this amazing badass female main character, an assassin. She knows all the 4 elements. She can like fight, and she's fantastic, and she bites someone's fucking finger off. She's a great character. And then the second, basically, Khan is introduced, I think is his name. He was so unoriginal and boring that I don't really care. The second he was introduced, all went to shit. Honestly, she becomes from this amazing assassin who can fight and wield all 4 elements to nothing. She has to be saved like 2 or 3 or 4 separate times by this guy. And it just is like such a letdown, because I was like, she's so cool. And then the second the guy was introduced, it was like, it just went downhill. It was weird. Like, it was just literally a sudden flip of a switch and she's a completely different character. Like, yeah, she had this whole revenge plot. And like basically was like, this is I'm gonna go kill this guy. And then Khan was introduced, I think is his name again, not sure. That was all out the window. None of it was important. And then in the end ends up becoming like a domestic goddess, like in the old home that her and this guy like used to live in. It was just weird. It was so weird. The bit that got me, which made me really upset, was like, oh, she's completely changed. She's fighting for her life, right? This like clan is going to sell her or make her essentially a sex slave. to pump out babies for this clan. And she's fighting for her life. And we've already been proven that she's this amazing, cool character who can fight amazingly. But she ends up needing this Khan character to come and save her. And I was like, what the hell? Like, that was the first letdown for me. I was like, she's been proven to be this amazing character. Why is she needing this to happen to her? It was so frustrating. Ugh. Anyway, then the writing, let me tell you, fucking crazy. Absolutely crazy writing. She, whoever the author was, Sarah something, I had to look this up because I was like, I remember it being too much. I think she was going for this poetic prose, but actually just kind of went for thesaurus.net and then was just writing whatever words she found on the page and then absolutely not cutting anything out. If you're looking for a good time, look up the reviews for When the Moon Hatched on Goodreads because they are hilarious. This is literally just one page of describing the rain. Another wailing bead plunges, an agonizing splat, weeping corpse. Heavy droplets wail as they plunge, singing foreign words I don't understand, howling from the shock of their savage destruction, begging the stone to absorb them. Yeah. It was just like she really tried really hard. And at the beginning I was falling for it. I was like, yeah, wow, this is amazingly written. And then actually in the end I was like, there's too much. And also uses female and male, which is fine in theory, but 700 pages of book and you're like, just say man and woman. It just makes life easier. That was, it was a difficult read. Honestly, that's probably the most disappointed I've been in a book in a really long time. So that was really sad. It's because it started off so well, it fell so far. Then, good book, James. If you haven't heard of it, I recommend you go check it out. It is a book by this man called Percival Everett, and it is a retelling of Huckleberry Finn from the perspective of the slave Jim. I heard about it from Jack Edwards. I hear about all of my fancy books from Jack Edwards. He's a masterclass of books that make you think and then are also books that are going to be classics. Like, James is going to be a classic, and I 100% call that. I was surprised it didn't win the Booker Prize of the year that it came out, but alas, it was amazing. I had to wait like 5 months, maybe, perhaps, for this to become available on my audiobook app, and it was completely worth it. I've never read Huckleberry Finn. I don't know anything about it. I know it's one of those books that said the N-word, and it was one of the ones that the English teacher was like, well, guys, you can't, like, it's just it's from the time I have to say it. It's not a book that I've ever read, but let me tell you, his name is James. Jim is the nickname that everyone calls him, but his name is James. He seems like the natural protagonist. Like, Huckleberry Finn is a kid. He's 13. James seems like the natural protagonist for the story. So I'm like, must have been a magnificently well-written book to change this side character into the main character of this book. And of course everything is completely like up to how you write it, and everyone's the main character for their own story. But I found it really interesting how it's like Huckleberry Finn is really not even in this story. He's not very important to it. It's all for him. I will say that it was really interesting to read about slavery from the slave's perspective. I'm from England and I live in New Zealand. I've lived in New Zealand for like a really long time. We don't learn about slavery very much because it was the fact that he was a slave. He was not a black person who was a slave. He was a slave, and that was not his identity. That was his identity from other people, and that was really like, it wasn't shocking, but it felt funky. It felt weird to be like, this man is not a man, he's a slave. And the fact that he couldn't be without a white person, and even when he was with a white person, he wasn't his own person, he was the slave of that person. It was inconceivable for white people to consider that he wasn't a slave, and also for the black people, because everyone in that area at that time was a slave. So that was really like a very different perspective of anything that I've ever read before. Then we have on to the last book. This is my most recent book actually that I've read, physical book that I've read. This was the first non-secondhand book that I've bought in probably over 3 years. Probably why it was as disappointing as it was, because I went out of my way to go buy a book firsthand and it was disappointing and rubbish. let down. This was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Started off so well, I had such high expectations for it, lesbian and vampires. I was like, ah, yes! And it started off really well. It started off with this fun, quite likable, strong main character called Maria, who later turns into Sabine. And it just didn't go the way I was expecting. It's not spoilers because actually kind of nothing happens in the book, so I'll just say anyway. She ends up killing the woman that makes her a vampire. And I just thought that was not the direction that this was going to go. Basically, Maria, who turns into Sabine, so I'll call her Sabine, she's suddenly given this opportunity. She's falling in love with this woman, and this woman's falling in love with her, and she's like, I'm going to turn you into a vampire so we can, I don't know, essentially live forever together. The second Sabine turns into this vampire, her personality just switches so dramatically. Literally turns into a different character. Like, I just don't understand where this one character who was originally Maria turns full 180 into Sabine. And I'm just like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that was really disappointing. I thought it was going one direction, it went a completely other direction, to a point where that story, actually nothing happened. They skipped decades and centuries and nothing actually happened in the bits that we did get. And then there was like the other POVs, and just wasn't, like, they were technically interconnected, but they were never that interesting. Nothing was that interesting. Like, they just, even the main character who was Sabine, it wasn't like, oh, we got to see her throughout the years of like changing from loving character into she's been alive for 500 years, so it's changing her. The second she turned into a vampire, she turned into a fucking bitch. So it was like, it wasn't even that she changed. This was her the entire time she was a vampire. Just the way I thought it was going was not the way that it went. And even if I wasn't expecting it to go that other way, I think that it was still going to be disappointing, because it just wasn't a very entertaining book with not very entertaining characters. So that's sad. I really wanted that to be good. Like, I really did. I had not such high expectations, but I had such high hopes, I think. So basically, that's all you need to know that happened to me in the past 5 months. The good books and the bad books. I have read good books, and I've read bad books, and I've read medium books, and I'm reading a couple good books right now. I will say that despite me not being on this social media, I have still been active on other social medias, so if you want to check me out on those, absolutely feel free. I'm more active on those than I probably ever will be here. That's my Instagram, my TikTok, which I'm really, really, really trying to engage with more on my TikTok. It's hard, but I'm trying. Yeah, but I've been living my life these past 5 months, and I'm really hoping to get back into this YouTube thing. So it's good to see you all again. I hope that I will see you soon, and I'll see you next time.